Welcome back to Cut and Splice. This is Jason.
This is Gil.
And this is Matt.
And this week we are joined by Yusuf, another Columbia alum and fellow classmate of ours throughout that experience. And we're happy to have you.
So awesome being on this episode, everyone. It's almost like a family reunion.
Yeah.
Very, very excited to be on and talk with you guys. It's been too long, so
it has. Tonight we are talking about Alita: Battle Angel. It's the 2019 movie, and that is based off of the Battle Angel Alita manga comic book. Just to kind of start this out, Matt, myself, and Gil did something different this time, a little bit different, not much different, but they happened to be visiting me just as a sort of vacation sort of thing this last weekend, and we decided let's go ahead and watch this movie since they had never seen it, and we wanted to talk about it for this podcast. So this was actually the first time that the three of us watched a movie specifically for this podcast together. I do think in the past we may have seen something together, one of these other movies, but obviously years and years ago before we were ever doing this stuff. But I'd have to go back and look at our movies. I'm not sure if that's happened or not. I kind of feel like it had.
And it was very difficult to not get into the details and save it for the podcast.
Yeah, it's like movie's over. We usually spend time talking.
That's pretty much the podcast is what would happen in real life once the movie is over. We just had to avoid it this time, which is why it's probably best that we don't watch movies together in preparation for the...
Yeah. I don't want to get too deep into it, but personally, this is a movie that I had been waiting for to come out for about 16 years or so. I had read the comics when I was younger. My brother collected all of them, and I just kind of read his manga, and I loved it. I really liked a lot of it, especially the first 3 or 4 books. And I should mention that James Cameron is my favorite director. And to summarize this, basically I found out through some interviews and articles and things that he had been planning to make it. And long story short, he kind of shelved it because he was making the Avatar films. And so I just was kind of upset and waiting for something that was never going to happen. And then thank goodness for Robert Rodriguez getting along with James Cameron and making it happen, because I got what I wanted, kind of, sort of.
And I guess Yusuf too. There was the reason why I guess this movie was chosen is because you also had a strong affinity for it in the source material.
Yes, I have, but not as deep as Jason. So I've heard of, actually there was a 2-episode like anime back in the mid 90s, if I'm not mistaken. I remember watching that, and it grabbed me like if I watched Akira. It was only 2 episodes. It wasn't long enough, and it didn't really show the whole story arc of Alita. Then I went into reading the books, and I thought the books were really crazy and really cool, and like the epitome of the cyberpunk persona that a lot of movies are trying to. Well, some do okay, a lot fall short. And then I seen the trailer for the movie Alita Battle Angel back in 2018 or late 2017 or something like that, and like it had me at okay. This is how the trailer got me. When I first seen the Light Storm logo, I'm like, oh, what is this? And it wasn't blue people. I'm like, oh, what is this? And then it was like the director Robert Rodriguez, like, oh, what's this? And then it was like the Alita teaser, I went ape shit. I was like, okay, so Cameron's producing this. Rob Rodriguez is behind the director's chair. Like, all right, like let's go. And yeah, when it was released, seen it in IMAX, definitely one of the best IMAX presentations I've seen because we know James Cameron is not gonna, do his 3D movies that he put his name behind short. So that was a great IMAX presentation when I seen it, and so long story short, yes, I was waiting for this movie.
And real quick before anyone else goes into theirs, correct me if I'm wrong. I might be mixing this up, but Yusuf, weren't you lucky enough to go to some of the early stuff for this?
Okay, yes. Okay, so Collider had of course, you see a special screening of Alita a week before it comes out. Just send an email and we'll let you know if you made it, and blah blah blah. So I sent the email. I was like, I love the Alita series. I have the comic book, I have the manga collection. I would love to see this movie and spread the gospel of how awesome Alita is to the masses. And yeah, I got selected. And afterwards, it was a Q&A from John Landau.
Nice.
He's pretty much behind Lightstorm. Cameron and John Landau, he's head of Lightstorm Entertainment, which is Cameron's production company. So yeah, so we seen the IMAX presentation at the IMAX headquarters in Culver City, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So that was a blast, and him spilling the tea on production and stuff like that was just awesome. And John Lennon was so cool. When they were about to wrap up, I was like, okay, well, if no one have any questions, and John was like, that's it. It's like, I'm cool. I can answer a few more questions, And he stuck around for extra like 20 minutes answering questions. Then he stayed another 5 minutes taking pictures with people. I was like, yeah, he was a pretty cool dude. But
Nice.
I was definitely blessed to see it before everyone. That was cool.
Cool. Yeah, I guess I would say my main thing when I was watching it at first is what's up with this cast? Like the cast, like every single person showing up for the first time is like, what? Christoph Waltz? Like, oh, Jennifer Connelly, Mahershala Ali, and then I look now too, and there's like Jackie Earl Haley too was Grishka. I was like, this is like a great cast, and
Casper Van Dien.
If I had known about this cast, I might have actually watched this movie at an earlier point, but for some reason it didn't grab me. I wasn't sure, and the reviews were so. I'm the type of person that I have so little time to watch movies that if the reviews are not good, I'm gonna need some other recommendation to convince me, and I guess this happened. So finally, but yeah, I think that was the main thing that I was pleasantly surprised with the movies. It's I feel like all the cast gave it like a good gravitas, like it made it more important in some ways than maybe it actually feels. Because sometimes the problem that I have with anime is that there's so much of it, and it tends to tread the same ideas and the same science fiction tropes. That it's very tough for it to be set apart, say like in Akira and some of the big ones. But my overall reaction to it is a bit mixed. It's probably somewhere between the critics and the audience, because I see on IMDb it's like rated around 7.2 of 7.3, and then the Metascore is like 53. For me, it would probably fall somewhere in the 6 to 7. I want to give it a 7 just because I do feel like there's really well-intentioned effort put into really showing off this universe, and there's not a lot of these movies that really do it right. They try to get the effects right. They try to create the universe right. There might have been some miscasting, at least that I felt. Some characters that weren't as strong as others, but that effort, I think, kind of pushes it for me like to a 7. So that's my main reaction starting off.
Matt?
It was actually really stronger than I thought it would be. just based off of, trailers, reviews, and everything like that. It's a fun ride. The technology is actually really well utilized. Um, and there are certain nuances to it that I think are going to go missed by a lot of people. I mean, Rosa Salazar,
Yeah.
the actress who plays Alita. I mean, I'm 37 years old, and she's what, a month or two older than I am, and it's said in the movie, granted it's 3 years old at this point, that like she's basically a teenager, and you buy it. And obviously CGI helps that, but she really owns that character. uh and you buy it throughout the entire process of the digital, not the film, the digital that she's in. uh, and I mean, I think that there's a really compelling, beautiful, interesting story that was built throughout the entire digital that we watched. But there are enough caveats that I think I land on the same level of Gil, which is, about a 7 out of 10. Uh, but, you know, you can all kick the shit out of me when you want to.
No.
So,
Oh, hold on.
uh,
Did I supposed to give a? Oh, did
Uh,
I?
Oh no, no,
you and I
we
hadn't
just
gotten to that
throw
yet.
it. We throw it whenever we feel like,
Oh, okay,
but
gotcha.
I try to throw it early because I feel like it's a way to rush us through the
Exactly.
spoiler-free
We
section.
really need to go. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Personally,
all right.
I would. I'm sure that if it were possible for me to be more objective about this, I'd probably give it like an 8 or something. But then every time I watch the movie, I just get caught up in all the stuff that I'm so happy that they did right, that I mean, I'm not sure. I probably would land on like a 9.
Mm.
Wow, that's high praise.
I know. It's probably too high of praise, but that's where I land.
No, I can see it. I can see it if you're a fan of the genre.
Yeah.
It's candy. It's really candy.
Yeah.
Like as far as like fulfilling your desire to see those pages put on a live
Yeah.
action screen, it's got to be fun. Yeah.
Damn.
What do you think, Yusuf?
Me? Oh, okay. Well, after seeing it, I think I've seen it 3 times in theaters, and of course I have it on digital. I had got the 4K Blu-ray, yada yada yada, and I really get, you know, what Gil and Matt's saying. Far as how it has it lands on a sweet spot, but it wasn't a it was more that could have been built, or it was things that were kind of missed or missing, hit this, that, and the other, because well, it's meant to be a continuation, and it's like we just left with this cliffhanger, and you did the anticipation of, okay, all right, so where's she gonna go next, kind of situation. But just based off the finished product, what we get every time I watch this movie, okay, I put the CG aside, because that was James Cameron's kind of testing ground for mocap for Avatar, right? It's okay. Well, let's see how Alita looks, and then we can build off that, which is amazing. And to what Matt said, Rosa Salazar is Alita. If they cast anyone else, I don't know if they would have brought that much complexity, so much like facial, like the facial expressions and emotion that cuts through the CG, the uncanny valley, quote unquote, as you would call it, and getting like raw emotions from this cyborg, right? Yeah, it wouldn't have worked. She made the movie work. I mean, like hands down. And also just going into the simplistic element of a teenager, the adolescence growing into like transition into a grown up. I mean, that was just like in its most simplest form with Alita, right? You know, she starts off as a teenager, she's adolescent, she's young, she don't know anything, she have boy crushes, stuff like that. You know, and then she evolves. You know, she gets into her own body that's meant for her. She matures, she learns herself. You know, she had to, fall, of course, to get i.e. sliced up, but then she had to evolve through that and become the true warrior that she is. And this actually be a good analogy. I mean, if I had a daughter, I would be like, hey, you need to watch Alita. It's a good message here for, for girls. It's like, hey, you're a warrior. Like you got a berserker body and a warrior's mind, kind of thing. You can take on the world. And I thought that was a really cool, core like message with the movie. On top of this, the special effects and like Gil was saying, this is you're not going to really see a movie like this, because Robert Rodriguez built that set on his backlot, Troublemaker Studio. Like he built all of that back there. So you had that wonderful marriage of, people actually walking through a set, walking through, built streets and alleys, things like that, to give it that grounded, realistic feel that, you don't really see that much anymore. And so I really like tip my hat like the technical stuff with it. And also, to reel it back in this simple story of, a girl becoming a woman kind of situation, learning herself. But yeah, I gotta go with Jay on this, like, because it's been so many bad anime adaptations, i.e. Ghost in the Shell, Dragon Ball, whatever you want to call it. And this is the one that they actually did right. It was with attention. It was with care. They thought out the world. They took it seriously. And from just based off that, I would give it a 9. I give it a 9.
All right.
9.
Yeah. Real quickly, because we should probably move on to the other stuff. Where do you guys feel this loosely falls into Robert Rodriguez's films?
Ooh. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Now I feel like Jason, because Jason always says, like,
I never think about it. I know. I'll tell you real quick, just because I have it written down here in front of me. This is probably not a perfect order, but I would go somewhere around like Sin City as his best film, and then Alita, and then Grindhouse, Desperado, and then From Dusk Till Dawn. After that, it's kind of like all the same Faculty, 4 Rooms, and then down to the lower stuff.
Kids.
I like Spy Kids, but I kind of I didn't really get into any of the sequels. I never watched anything but the first one, and whatever. I really was disappointed with Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Yeah.
What about Machete?
Yeah, and Machete and Machete 2 would be right around Spy Kids, somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. I love that Machete exists.
Yes.
The fact that was a silly, ridiculous trailer that they made for Grindhouse, and then everyone was just like, let's do it.
Yeah, I think it goes a bit weird for me. I would go ahead, Matt. Actually, I'll keep thinking about it.
Holy Jesus, Jew. Okay. Diana's going to hear this at one point.
I just want to point out that he does have in development Machete Kills in Space.
Well, yes. I mean, that's almost obligatory. We got to see him fight Mel Gibson in space.
All right. I thought DiCaprio was supposed to replace him. I heard.
Oh, I'm sure he will. I'm just saying, that the character is supposed to be Mel Gibson.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I mean, this motherfucker has 53 director credits. And this might actually be his best movie. I mean, I really respect El Mariachi, especially given the background of it, and the fact that he was shooting the entire movie with a 16 millimeter MOS camera. I mean, I wouldn't even do that, and I'm, you know, uh, I mean, the Spy Kids movies are all garbage, but you know, we all know that they're garbage. Uh, I mean, Sin City was a really good digital for him.
You could say movie. You don't have to say digital.
Digital.
I understand
a lot of
that
digital
you
there.
never say film about a digital movie, but I mean, you could just say movie.
Yeah, just don't,
It's just
don't
a suggestion. I don't want to. I don't want to put
Don't
words
say
in your mouth.
film, movie. I usually just say
Yes,
movie.
yes.
Yeah, but,
Motion
yeah,
picture.
but yeah, I mean, I would put this like in his top two. I think that he really did a great job with this movie. You know, I mean, I wasn't ever, you know, taken aback by the pretentious craft or anything. You know, I just thought that he told a story and he told it the way that it needed to be told. So I thought that he did a really serviceable job on this movie. So yeah, I think that it's in his top two or three in terms of his filmography.
Yeah, the more I hear
Is
Matt,
digitalography or movieography.
I do feel like as far as like it's tough to rank his movies as much as just make a statement about his body of work that he's basically not a good storyteller, but he's an entertaining one, which
Yeah.
sounds odd, but all his movies are pretty much bad, possibly except for this one, but they're entertaining to watch. It's a very weird thing. It's kind of like an Ed Wood thing, but in the reverse way, because he's a master technician. He knows how to make a movie, but they all feel cheap. They're almost like trashy novels. That type. It's like candy for adults. He's like the modern version of Sergio Leone, only he doesn't make as as good a movie. I mean, then Tarantino somewhere is in between there. Like he's also sort of a Sergio Leone, only a much better version of Rodriguez. So yeah, it's tough. I agree with Matt. It's probably one of his best movies. I think all his movies, if I were to rate them, would be 7 or less. I don't know which. I didn't like Sin City very much, but it's probably like a close like 6-7 for Sin City. So I can see that it was just really well done as far as the execution. But yeah, and then the rest of his movies are not very notable. But again, this is like me saying that he's extremely talented and I think he's very entertaining. Everything of his that I watched was enjoyable in the moment, but it was extremely forgettable.
So he's a fast food director to you, right?
Exactly. I do feel like I think I've seen El Mariachi, and again, I like Matt. I do agree that there's something to admire there. Sort of like uh, Christopher Nolan's like Following, like a movie that was made so cheaply, but really passes the smell test of what a movie should be. Is very admirable. I just think that he hasn't improved with more money. You would think someone like unlike Christopher Nolan, that once he got some money, actually made some fantastic movies. Whereas Rodriguez, no matter how much money you throw at him, the best you get is Alita, which is great, better than a lot of filmmakers, but it's not top-notch stuff.
How can you not like Planet Terror?
Well, again, I think it was entertaining in the moment. I have no idea what happened there, except for like I know that like Rose McGowan has
Gun
a
leg.
rifle for a gun leg. That's the only thing that's memorable about that movie.
That's funny.
Anyways,
I guess by general principle, I have to, put El Mariachi like as his first one because that was the introduction to him as a director, kind of similar to it's Hollywood Shuffle. That was like Robert Townsend did with getting that movie off the ground. Like I just have a soft spot for directors that come up that way. Opposite your Finchers and your Tony Scotts that was just like direct to MTV movies, like was already kind of there and just transitioned. So I do. I do have a soft spot for directors that kind of comes into the industry like that way. And yeah, and I'm definitely gonna say Alita's number two, because I think this is the movie where he proved that he can be. I don't want to say like a mature director, but he can. I think Gil said something to the effect of, he serviced this particular story visually, pace wise, the way, the way it should be, served. He wasn't trying to throw his, crazy cross cut stuff in there and all that stuff.
That's true.
So yeah, I think this is, to me, it was like an evolutionary step in his directing, because like he can kind of just bolt himself down, ground himself, and just let the movie be the movie. And I think that was a big step for him. So yeah, I would say this is his second. And Sin City, Sin City's number three. Actually, that's probably number three. Sin City's number four, because the reason Sin City was cool conceptually, but the thing with Sin City, you have Robert Rodriguez, and then you also had Frank Miller. And let's not forget, Tarantino directed a segment in Sin City. So it was kind of like it was Robert Rodriguez's movie, but he had a couple of cooks, slicing and dicing with him behind the camera. So
Well put.
Nice. Well put.
Yeah, no, it definitely feels like source materials elevate him for sure. There's no doubt. Except for El Mariachi, where he's completely just was inspired and nailed it for sure, story wise. I guess we can. So spoilers. Yeah.
Okay.
So just a quick question, and before I let everyone else go, is as far as casting, because I mentioned about casting choices, do you feel that maybe the casting of Hugo, Kean Johnson, I don't know why, but I felt like that casting wasn't very strong for a very, very important role.
I agree. I agree. I mean, yeah, you're right. And when you said there was some weak cats, I knew exactly who you were talking about.
I feel bad for the guy. I don't want to focus on him, and it's not him. It's his face. I think a lot of casting is also faces, and his face is a bit too generic. It's a bit too. It doesn't have enough character in a movie with a lot of interesting faces.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say I didn't really have a huge problem with him. I think that with that character in particular, they were doing something very interesting because to tell the story they wanted to tell, they had to age his character up from what he was in the comics and everything. And I think they kind of achieved what they were going for, but I will definitely agree with you that in this stacked, stellar cast, he definitely stands out as the one that's not like a awesome A-list, type of actor or anything. But
right.
Yeah, I mean, if it's going to fall somewhere, it's going to fall there. That's for sure.
But and that's the thing, and to Gil's point, you're dealing with, Iron City, and yeah, I mean, the city itself. You look at the citizens, things like that. Okay, like everyone looks everyone looks cool, but I mean, but they don't. To Gil's point, like everyone looks kind of not war torn, but they look like they got some mileage on them a little bit. Some of the passerby and stuff like that, because it's awesome. There's some awesome shots. You're seeing citizens kind of walking back and forth, but they have kind of like a cybernetic limb or something on their neck and things like that. But then you have Hugo's crew, and like Hugo is like the prettiest of them all. Like he don't look like he's been through the shit. Like he just like he should have been up in Zalem. He's like he don't look like the toughie that would bolt down motorball contestants and cut their cybernetic limbs off. He just don't possess that aura. Like he looks very kind.
Very clean, very
Yes.
clean.
Yeah, he's not the chicks dig scars kind of guy.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the Abercrombie and Finch kind of guy.
Not even that. He's sort of like in between. It's weird. Actually, the Abercrombie and Finch guy is like Ed Skrein or whatever is up on. He's got like a good-looking face on him, but what they put him around him make him interesting.
Yeah,
that guy's casting is perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas Hugo, I feel like I understand what they're going for is that he's an everyday dude, and he's sort of like his complexion. He's kind of like the way the future people in South Park. He's like brownish, but you don't know if he's like Spanish, like or Mexican, or like you don't know what's like going on there, like with his heritage. And I understand like but yeah, I feel like a little bit more character to match the city would have made sense. But maybe they're just going for that everyday man. I don't know. Or maybe Rodriguez just had a thing for him. He wanted to like find a role for him.
Maybe.
No, I don't mean sexually.
I wasn't even
like,
gonna go there.
Friends of friends, like I don't know. Maybe he saw him in a casting.
I was entirely going to go there, but
yeah.
after you said that, but okay.
That's why he makes all those Spy Kids movies, because there's a lot of kids on set.
Oh
wow! Oh my god!
Maybe that this Hugo guy like grew up he grew up on the Spy Kids. Actually, that's what I can see. I can see him maybe being in one of the Spy Kids movies as on a different like a kiddie role, and then as he grows up, like he doesn't translate as much to the adult movies, but he's insisted on having him.
Yeah. Or, to your point, like, what if it would be cool if he had like a scar on his cheek, just something to let us know, like, okay, well, he been through some stuff, right? Okay,
that would help.
Yeah. Like, he could go into the Joker type, how I got these scars, or do something, but
he definitely wasn't in Spy Kids, so I'll stand corrected. He just plucked them from nowhere, I guess.
It would have helped. The scar and a conversation about the scar would have helped in this whole conversation where he's like telling her, "Oh, it's real rough for people down here. The people just take what they want, and the strong."
Yeah,
survive.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. I mean, as
how'd you survive?
Looking like fresh and clean and scar free.
Yeah. Also, you could have told her the scars because, somebody hurt him, but maybe he got it as he was trying to do one of his schemes, and that's how she finds out that he lied about the scar story. You could have thrown that stuff in there. Yeah. Exactly. So it's
or maybe he tried to go up one of the traps, tried to get up this Zalem and something, bust his shit. He got a scar to prove it or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just have to point out that somehow I'm getting in trouble for making masturbation jokes, but
I didn't go there. You went there. I mean, I didn't mean for it to be sexual, but in any case, moving on.
Do you guys need to put a disclaimer? I
put explicit.
We haven't been doing it.
All our episodes, I put explicit, even if I haven't heard any curse words. I just I'm sure Matt threw something in there, so I'm just gonna put explicit. All episodes.
Potential pedophilia conversation.
Yeah.
Titty sprinkles.
Yes, cut and splice. You come for the movies, you stay for the sex and pedophilia jokes.
Wow.
So I guess the question would be.
That's why I miss you guys.
So, let me just. I guess I'll ask a question to try to move on from the. As far as I guess Matt, it would be a question for you because maybe you'll get me to think about it. What else did you see about the movie that's flawed or brings it down a notch?
Okay, where to start?
And then Matt and Yusuf Jason and Yusuf can defend the movie.
Yeah. it's odd because I can actually name more strengths than I can name weaknesses.
That's good.
But
It seemed like you're struggling just to say, you know, Alita was just an awesome movie. I mean, you can say it. That's it.
like,
Yeah.
I think that this movie is a tragedy. It's a tragedy of filmmaking, of movie making, of digital making. In that, I mean, this movie needs a sequel.
Yeah.
Which makes it fundamentally an episode of television which ends on a to be continued, and we have no indication that we're going to get the payoff. And that is a major fucking problem. And if you watch Star Wars A New Hope, I mean, yeah, it's better that we have Empire. It's better that we have Return of the Jedi. It is better that we have the full trilogy. Still, if they only made A New Hope and the Death Star blew up and the movie just ended and we never had Empire, it's still a good movie. The
Whereas
Dark Knight.
it wouldn't be the same with Empire, by the way. If
No,
they didn't know that they would make Return of the Jedi, yeah.
I already said that.
Yeah. No. But the reason why is because A New Hope, they didn't know they would have a sequel. That's why they closed it up that way. With Empire, they knew they had a sequel in the works. That's why they did it that way. So yes, I think the main argument would be, yeah. So you basically shouldn't do what they did in Alita unless they know they're greenlit for the second movie. That's maybe
right, and that's really the issue. It's just like this movie would have gotten me to say like a 7.5, maybe even an 8, if there were a sequel
announced.
And right now, I mean, no, I would have to see a sequel on the screen in order for me to change where I stand, because I mean, it is a really well made movie. It's gorgeously shot. The CGI is great. The performances are great. There are a few lingering problems, like, how is he even pronouncing face when his lips are cut off? You can't really do that. You can't pronounce the if your lips aren't there. But I mean, it's a fun movie. It's a really fun movie, and I would recommend it to just about anybody. Like, hey, if you have 2 hours free, you could do a lot worse than watching this movie. But you're going to, it's just like you're never going to get to the climax. You're never going to get there, and that's a problem. And I feel like this movie was dealt with the attitude of, this is going to be a serial thing. Like, this is going to be adjacent to Avatar. This is going to be something that we're going to make sequels after sequels after sequels, and this is going to pay off. And it's just not. It's just not.
Well, I guess we don't know necessarily. I mean, it could happen.
There's still a lot of people online pushing for it, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen right now.
Yeah. But James Cameron, has the power.
Right. And let's not forget, actually, James Cameron owns the movie rights to Alita. And just give a little like backstory on that, Alita Battle Angel, it was a Fox movie. Of course, the mouse got Fox. So technically Alita Battle Angel is a Disney property. So I think the reason, it's kind of in limbo is because of, if the mouse want to go green lighted and or not. But the cool thing about this whole situation is Cameron has the rights to Alita. So if the mouse is like, well, that might be a little bit too much for us, he'll be like, fine. He'll go over to Sony, go over to Paramount, like, hey, you guys want to do this Alita sequel? And I think that's where kind of the hope lies. Like, it's like Disney is like Disney have the movie, but they don't own the movie rights to it. Cameron have it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping, once the advertised sequels breaking in the dough, then Cameron will be like, okay, well, what's up with the sequel that we want to do this Alita sequel? What's up? Rodriguez is already doing shooting Mandalorian episodes.
I was gonna say he's in good with the mouse right now.
Yeah, so he's with the mouse. So and Cameron's with the mouse. So hey, what's up? Worst case scenario, can we do at the worst case scenario? Hey, I will make Alita series for Disney Plus if you guys are shaky about another sequel. Let's just do that. Y'all need content. Outside all these damn Star Wars shows. So I think there's some hope. I would say after the new Avatar comes out, I think we probably would hear a little bit more about the status of the Alita sequel. Yeah.
I can see that for sure, because you want to bring a new audience, and the anime fans are kind of like the Star Wars fans, just a smaller group, but it's definitely a slightly different segment sometimes. There's a lot of overlap.
Does anybody want me to voice my opinion about Disney, or should I?
Please do.
We've already heard that.
No,
but give a short one for Yusuf, just live.
Give it to me.
Let's do it live. Let's do it live.
Get on that soapbox. Get on that soapbox. Do it.
Fuck it. Alita is already a female-centric, character. So, and Disney's mantra is, it's always okay so long as a woman does it.